today.
Good afternoon. That's exciting.
We're kind of excited too. I think we have some good proposals here. We took into consideration a lot of what we talked about before. So I think I'm going to win my dark chocolate bet with Mark Mitchell down there. I said we'd get finished today, and he owes me dark chocolate if we finish today. So I'm going to have Mary pass out.
The dark chocolate?
No, the proposals.
That sounds good.
The dark chocolate comes after we sign everything today. So Mary passing them out. This is kind of a whole deal. This is the packet. We've got everything in here. I think hopefully this will resolve all of our outstanding issues, and we can just TA everything and go home happy this afternoon.
All right. That's
So I'll walk through the first
oh, I
one.
see you have a signature page.
I do. I have the preamble right there off the top. I was working on the school I was working on the recognition section. You and I had talked about that. That's kind of outside bargaining, and I had it done, and my computer crashed, and I lost all of it, so I got to go back and put it. It was trying to fit all the job descriptions in like 3 columns with the job code, so I'll get that to you hopefully tomorrow.
Okay.
But that's really the only thing, and it's outside bargaining. It's something we can resolve. It's just putting those job descriptions on paper.
Okay. Now, will that adjust any of that language in there that said that the parties agreed to meet, and we're pulling that out?
Yeah, we can pull that out because it puts everything in. If you want to leave it in there, I'm fine with leaving it in there. I don't think it's necessary because we've gone ahead and pulled all the T bargaining unit positions, and we're just going to put them in. If you look at SEIU, if you go online and look at theirs, it's going to be very similar to theirs. I think you're going to have 2 columns. Theirs is just 1. But for the interest of space in the collective bargaining agreement, I wanted to put it in multiple columns. But you'll see in their collective bargaining agreement, we have it listed by job codes. So we have the job codes with the descriptor right next to it. Okay.
All right.
So first page is a preamble. Again, we didn't strike through anything here. This is just the general language that we always have. Dates are changed a little bit to reflect the fact that this is a reopener. Then if you go to the next one, it's Article 2, Section F. We're proposing status quo. That was all the language we had talked about. We talked to our risk management people. They want to look at it a little bit more. They understood where you were going. I talked to them about, my own concerns about what we were proposing, so they want to look at it a little deeper. So we're just going to take that off the table. Along with Article 2, Section G, which is go status quo on that one as well. The next one is Article 2, Section O. This is children of employees. And I'll give you some time to flip through and get to there.
All right. Yep, we're trying to get there. All right.
In Article 2, Section O, we heard what you talked about with the feeder school and the receiving school, and we're fine with that. We have some more language in there that, as you get further down, it's paragraphs G and H, where it talks about schools that are fully choiced programs. So a school that is a full choice program has neither a feeder nor receiving schools because they are full choice. If a teacher works at one of these schools, wants their child to attend that school, they can. However, they have to meet all the criteria that any other child would, simply because these are schools that are, for the most part, are usually pretty full, and we want to be fair to the children who have auditioned or taken certain tests or certain prerequisites in order to get in there. And we also wanted to be cognizant of the fact that because they are throughout the whole district, they really don't have any 1 or 2 feeder schools, and they don't have any receiving schools, because there's nothing that, if you're at a full choice, like you're at a full choice school for elementary, there isn't an middle school that you go straight, that you're automatically accepted into. We also added a section here about score policy 5.015, and that's just the language about the reassignments. So if the student has disciplinary problems, they would get pulled out, same as any other child in the district. And so that's the end of that one. Article 2, Section Q. I understood your concerns about pulling it out, so we're going to leave it in, but we had our ESE director and his staff look at what's currently in language versus what's in policy and what's best practices. So you'll see some of the things we had talked about. We had labeled kids as emotionally handicapped, severely emotionally handicapped, autistic. They said they don't really use that terminology anymore. They are enrolled in programs for the emotionally behavioral disability, EBD, or autism spectrum disorders. Where we talked about displaying behaviors, they said, no, they're experiencing crisis behaviors. These are just the language that they're using now with our ESE students. We also reference in here that employees are required to comply with School Board Policy 5.181, just so long as they understand that there is a policy as well. In paragraph 9, the schools maintain a log, and then they're also required to report it to FLDOE Restraint and Seclusion Database, which is in the policy. And then the what is in the log has changed as well, and some of it is this. It's the same information. It's just the way it's written now is a little different. So we added the language straight from the policy of what's required to be in that log. Some of it, like before, it had behavior that resulted in physical restraint. It's in the description of the incident that would, the student's behavior leading up to and precipitating the decision to use manual physical restraint. So we just modeled the language. A lot of it's the same, but we wanted it to reflect what's in board policy. We also referenced in 10 the form that's to be used, because we had in there that parents should be notified verbally and in writing. We wanted to make sure that the employees knew that they're to inform them in writing. It's not an email or a text. It's through this form. And then in paragraph 11, we had that it was the principal's responsibility to ensure that the data is reviewed. It is also the responsibility of the employees to look at that data as well. So if you have any questions on that one, I know it's a little more more changes than we would have liked to have made, but we wanted it to be true to what we're actually doing now.
Okay. Of course, this one we'd like to review, and then we'll get back to you on that one.
Okay.
A little later today.
The next one is Article 4, Section B, posting and filling of vacancies. We're asking for status quo, and I understand you wanted to have in here language that, with sending the emails out to people who are at that school if positions come available. We're pretty confident, and I can't say with 100% certainty, but it looks like Oracle is going to be able to have an alert that employees could sign up for through PeopleSoft, so that they would automatically get alerted to if they want to know where any science positions open up at a middle school level, they could put something like that in, kind of like a Google alert. And then it's more targeted to the people who want that information rather than just sending it out in bulk to anybody at the school. So that we feel that that's going to be fixed by Oracle, not by us. And it also puts a little burden on the school secretary. They're overburdened as it is. They would be the one that would have to send those emails out. And, the last thing we want is for teachers and employees to feel like something's being hidden from them simply because the secretary, it got lost in the shuffle. They didn't do it immediately. It went out like 3 days later. I just think it's going to be something that's going to be problematic for both sides.
So when do you see Oracle being in place?
That I don't know. Oracle runs is the company that runs PeopleSoft. Mr. Mitchell, do you have any idea of?
We don't have a TBD on that yet.
Okay.
We're hopeful.
We're hopeful, but we don't know when that would come out.
Okay.
Next one is Article 4, Section C, voluntary transfer period. We had come to an idea that we would open up that voluntary transfer process to more than just people after their third year. And right now, we simply want to open it up to people who have completed probationary period and going from a non-high needs school to a high needs school. We did add the language that a high needs school would be defined by the district each December with input from the association. But to add any more exceptions to this rule. We're not real comfortable with doing that. This time we want to see how this works first before we decide to open it up even further. We want to see how this affects our high-needs schools and before we open it up to people in other years. And we're back at the table in April, so we thought we'd give this a chance to see how this works before we'd be willing to add any more criteria to that. And that's the only change that we've proposed. And then here's what you've all been waiting for is Article 8, Section A. The only thing we're going to change on this one are the dates and raising the maximum salary to $84,246. And for those of you who are very quick with math, that is a 3% increase. The details of this are in the Appendix A. So we've changed the dates, we've raised the max, and we also gave you a little gift here in paragraph 4. On paragraph 3 of, page 3 of 8, section A, we're going to maintain, the district will extend the best and brightest to non-classroom teachers for one more year. We didn't want to take anything away from any teachers that are currently getting it, the media specialists, the ESC contacts. We feel that they add a lot to the school as well. But again, this is only for 1 year, similar to what we did last year. Then let's move on to Article 8, Section N. It's mandatory in-service. We've agreed to review the number and types of mandatory in-service training that was required of employees, and by April 30th, or 2 months from ratification, we will meet with the association and share that data out to get an idea of how much we're actually requiring of all employees, teachers specifically. Then we get to Appendix A, and this, let me turn part of this over to Mr. Burke, but this is where we are agreeing to, for highly effective, we have a cost of, let's start with the cost of living is 0.5%. For effective, teachers who are rated effective, they would get a 2.75, and that's inclusive of the cost of living. Highly effective, we get a salary adjustment of 3.5%. I believe that matches what you are looking for. Mr. Berg, you have anything to add?
We'd just add that the superintendent worked hard. We actually met with our school board last week to make this possible. We had to push ourselves a little further than we had planned, but we appreciate your kind of realistic proposal, and we weren't that far apart, so we just kind of were able to bridge the gap and get to here. And I really am kind of excited about this because I believe this is now 4 years in. We've kind of been going in this 3% a year, I think now for 4 years straight. So I think it's good. It's responsive to our employees, and we also followed the percentage approach like we used last year, so we don't try to create more salary compression.
One of the things we're also proposing is to leave the placement schedule as is. We've heard a lot of complaints from your unit about feeling like people coming in new are getting placed higher on the salary schedule. So we're leaving the placement schedule as is. Moving on to Appendix B, the supplements. We're proposing that we, in Category 6, the 3 per school district for the school psychology intern supervisors. Category 10 and 11, we heard what you were saying about the academic games and the SECME advisors and how that was drafted. So we changed the language a little bit to make sure that they understand that the supplement amount is paid per semester for one and paid per season for the other. We also have at the very end the academic coach. We've scaled that down in light of our salary proposal and concern for funding. We've scaled that down from what we wanted to try to something smaller. Where the academic coach program would be for, and you can see that it's kind of a dotted line where we added additional language from last time. So it's no more than 10 high-need schools. And we gave the association input into what those high-need schools would be. And we left it with just the $2,500 per year supplement rather than the additional $5,000. We're going to leave it at just the $2,500 supplement. And then the ability to proceed is going to be entirely dependent upon funding. We're not sure where the money's going to come from for this program we want to try, but we at least wanted to get into the contract. So if we do find the money through a grant or something like that, that we'd be able to do it. And then last, but certainly not least, is Appendix D, the additional period supplement. We're proposing status quo. I understand the need and the desire behind your proposal to increase that, but we just increased that in 2015, had a minor increase to that, and we really want to put all the money we have into salaries so that we could meet your salary proposal, and we just wouldn't have any money left over. We don't have any money left over after meeting your salary proposal. So that is our package. If you have any questions, speak now.
Now, at this point, we get it. We'll caucus and get back to you.
Okay.
All right.
Do you want this room?
No.
I'll see what I can find for you. Do you have any idea of how long you might want to caucus, or just get back to us? Like maybe meet back here at 2:30, or do you think you might be sooner?
2:30 should be good, I think.
Okay.
Y'all think?
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
He didn't say anything to me, I don't know.
Theo, all the training rooms are being used, so what we'll do is we're going to let you guys have this room, the mics are off, and we'll move.